Good morning, folks. It's Friday, March 27th, 2026, of the year of our Lord. As Miss Katie said, I was having some technical difficulties, not with me or
with me.
or with her or her hair, but more just trying to get the lighting set up right because we've got inclement weather coming in later and our cloud cover shifts and our light shifts and whatever. So, the first question we're going to ask Miss Katie today, and she had to think about this, although she knew the answer once she thought about it, was, do you know anything about doodlebugs? And her first answer was,
Not really.
and then I asked her, what about our honeymoon?
I remember parts of it.
Remember, but Miss Katie propelled herself out of a moving car.
I did.
And
Let's just say I was a little inebriated.
we'd done 9 brasseries that day because we were also, part of our honeymoon was, part of it was on the dime of the U.S. Army. Mm-hmm. We were going with a member of ours who had lubricated. Well, he probably was lubricated
James
too.
Carroll.
But
Good old boy. Yeah.
liberated from Alabama.
Oh, was he from Alabama?
Yeah.
Well, he was still a good old boy.
But
yeah.
We
Rode in on his Harley and liberated Bon Secours.
As the Germans rode out the other end.
The Germans rode out the other end
But
by himself.
She jumped out and spewed.
Red, white, and blue.
By a V2 engine. And we also then later saw that there were some V1 parts on the thing. At this point, Miss Katie's in the back of the car, curled up in a world of hurt.
I woke up a couple of days later.
But it was also, what was interesting was his farm also was a Roman fort. So, very interesting that we actually would have some linkage in a way we didn't quite understand and never thought it would matter, except a good story. But
good story.
There are 2 covers for this, and I'm going to ask Miss Katie which one she likes better. Of course, this is the official game cover, and you got to really have a game cover in color.
Can I pick up the other one?
And you may pick up the other one, which is the rules, and I like that background they did with it and the schematic. So I think the fact that they chose 2 different pieces of art is really smart and really good. And I have to thank Legion for sending this to us. Randy Lean sent it to us. I was actually going to pay for both it and the Fall of Berlin game, and Randy said, Smitty, let me just send those to you. So, we thank Randy for that. We will be getting to those today.
I like this one better.
You like the color one better?
I like the color one better, if you're asking my opinion.
And we did. What's also interesting is it was 61 last night. It's going to 38 tonight. So this is Alabama. Alabama springtime is kind of wild.
Welcome to Alabama.
Yeah, so all right, folks, we thank you. I will be doing my stuff a little bit later. We're into full insanity. I actually had my level out yesterday doing a rose bed.
4 rose beds.
But to do the one, I've got the one fully constructed up.
I thought you had 2 up.
With 2 beds, but
right.
but one big bed all combined.
Right.
And now I've got to do the other ones, and I will have to be doing revamping a terrain, and of course I have my level out there to make certain everything's good. So, and what are you supposed to do, miss?
Bye-bye.
And we will talk to you all later. I will be on sometime later today because it's supposed to rain, so that's a good time for me to do that. Thanks, folks. Talk to you in a few. All right, folks, you have to wonder why I have a Deluxe 6 Cootie picture up here. I'm going to come in on it. It's because I kept trying to think, were they also called Doodlebugs? from the childhood game, and then eventually had to look at it, and then came across Cootie, which we played as a kid, which was a very fun game, but just said, well, no. that was a a very strong no. But we got to thank Randy Lean, as we did in the talk conversation with Miss Katie, for sending us the review. We were actually going to buy the game, and Randy just said no, and in addition, sent us the Fall of Berlin games. We can't certainly fuss now, can we? And in springtime, doesn't a young man's fancy turn to capturing Berlin? I think so. I had someone say, man, I would have called this anything more interesting than Doodlebugs. Well, I saw the word Doodlebugs and I knew what it was. And so it captured and whetted my appetite. And unlike Stalingrad Relief, which was a okay entitled game, Doodlebugs just simply fit. I knew what it was, and I suspect many of us out here knew what it was. This is a game I actually had watched for several years and just fussed that it didn't come through. And of course, it didn't help that for whatever reason, the Legion server hated my emails. Like somebody recently, George Dew of Dark City Game had that problem, and it was solved today by him. But sometimes servers just, for whatever reason, hate certain people's stuff. Now, let's talk about the two covers side by side here. Here is the one cover. Here's the actual game cover. And here is the cover for the rule book. I like both. Miss Katie, of course, liked this one better. But man, good choice to not do the same one for for the rule book. I think it is just cooler because I love the schematic here. Works for me. All right. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about customer support. That wasn't within the way I was going to do this, but they had an issue. Oops. And they've subsequently done it again. They forgot to put two additional 4s, 2 additional 5s in the chit draw. So, and right here, Randy addresses it. They, in future games, they have put stickers in there to go ahead and take care of that. So, can't fuss with that. Also, the firefighting has changed just a little. Gotta like when a company changes their stuff. When they go ahead and support us out there, because they could just say, you know. Let's look at the counters. Put the counters up here. I'm trying not to punch them out at the moment. We're doing this fast because we have so much yard stuff to do yet. Counters are more than serviceable, bright enough. I like the V1s. We got fire units, chiefs, shows with the fire. Here are the stickers. Well, not stickers. The games kind of run on this. There are 4 different sets of chits that are drawn randomly doing gameplay. First are the blue ones. The blue ones are, they go to the sectors of London. 1 through 6, okay? And they tell you they range in value from 0 to 6, with a 0 being, even though the V1 has gotten to the Flak and Barrage, it just dies early or goes off the map and can't be found. So, okay. The gray chits are how many, and this is the gray chits, how many are launched from, and I'm a specific Flak Regiment firing point. Got 4 firing points here, so that's how many get fired from a firing point. The yellow chits, are how many fail. So it's possible that all of them could fail in the thing. And the red chits, then, the gray chits, and the red chits, geez, Robert. The red chits up here are how many are lost before hitting London. So, then you got your fighter planes. Your fighter planes don't come on until first one 6:16 because the British response was sluggish. I don't know why, but it was. You think they might have remembered sense of history about how the Zeppelins caught them by surprise and it took a while. Well, no, the Brits were a little slow. So, the rules are 6 pages. They're pretty dang good. Gone through them several times. Nothing extraordinarily different. I like how the zones are broken up though. I just wish they would have made London a little more interesting. London's kind of dull. Maybe it works for you. I would have liked to have had it been a little brighter. Done something with it because it is summer. Just me. It's a very workmanlike game board. Everything's on it that you need to play. You've got one from the time it's launched to where it gets over water, AA at the coast, and then landfall. And then, of course, to get ready to come into London, you've got the Flak and barrage. So, again, all simplicity. And the map board, I think, cleverly drives the game. You've got, you got the 4 launching areas. You launch extra number of Vs, see who successfully gets off the ramp, so to speak. Often, more than 20% of the V1s were lost. Then the RAF shows up, and then you have to decide which zones you go after with the V1s. And by zones, of course, here, I call them zones, and you go over water, you have a lesser chance of shooting it down, because here's the fighter gunnery table. But you also have less chance of having the fighter be destroyed. So the closer in you get, because the more risk you assume. Okay. Everything is neatly organized. Everything follows the common sense tests, good designer notes. My gut feeling for this is it makes more sense than I could have hoped for. We will get to it today, despite the amount of staining we are doing, which is a result still of the pool excavation last fall. As we're having to build new retaining walls to protect 2 other flower beds, and we are putting in 2 new rose beds per Miss Katie's wishes. So, one book we're reading on it. I'm going to lean over, get the book. It's an okay book. Like much of the bad history that I think that is written today, too many personal accounts, and the factual array is sometimes it's hit and miss. One personal account, actually, and the book's only 185 pages, is 3 pages, and that, if you do the math, that is 1/62 of the book, and that's like 1.6% of the book on one account. Okay. No appendix in the book. I was hoping to have an appendix that would show us data. No such thing. No data pages. Now they do have bibliography. They do have at notes to several resources off it, and the reason they went, their interest was personal family actions from the campaign. So we are really looking forward to this one. Oh, and we need to show you here the other game that they recently sent us, Fall of Berlin, and we won't forget to thank Randy for that, but that is next up, because in springtime a man's fancy turns to conquering Berlin. So as always, folks, we thank you and have a blessed day.